can kind of just, I guess, just try to be relatively muted. But regardless, it's good to see everyone here. I'm so excited that there are so many of you interested in this program, interested in what is going on at MEA. It's really exciting, and I'm really kind of excited to see this level of turnout today. We're going to kind of just really hop into it because it's 10:04 and we kind of did a run through yesterday. We were already felt like we were pressed for time, so I don't want to dilly-dally longer than I need to. Let me share my screen real quick. So the overview for today's webinar, in terms of what we're going to be going over, we're just going to take time to go through this year's funding opportunity announcement, the kind of changes we've made to this year's program, and what you can expect as we're going through this funding cycle. After that, I'm going to hand it over to our energy specialist, Gus Norbum. He's going to go through the actual new portal. So MEA is kind of rolling out this new application portal for all of our grantees. It should make it easier to apply for a lot of our programs. We want to streamline it. We know a lot of you are our grantees who really go through and apply for multiple programs. And so our kind of in mind, when we thought about it agency-wide, we wanted to really just save you all some time in our application process. So with that, I'm gonna really just kind of hop in. So there's probably a lot of people here that may not know that much about MEA, so I'll just kind of start from the top. We are the Maryland Energy Administration. We are the state's energy office. So every state has an energy office. We are Maryland's. And so what we do is we work on a lot of policies and programs for the state. So we kind of work on energy policy, but we also give out a lot of money in grants for all different types of technology to improve residential homes, commercial buildings, work a little bit on the grid. We do really all types of work and grants. This program, though, is the Residential Energy Equity Program. So this program is designed to give money to Marylanders experiencing low to moderate income. And as a result, we kind of give money and funds for them to upgrade and update their technology in their homes to make them more energy efficient. The real goal of this is, one, to lower the state's energy demand, but also that the state not only lower their energy demand, but also to lower their energy bills. We know energy is getting more and more expensive all the time, and we really know that a lot of Marylanders really in this income bracket are really getting pinched even more acutely, just because, again, a lot of their homes haven't gotten some of these upgrades that maybe other homes have gotten over the years. And so we want to make sure that they are getting some of these funds to make sure that their bills are not getting out of control. That's a little bit about the reprogram at MEA. I'm going to get into this year's funding opportunity announcement, go over some really important basic points and some changes that I think a lot of our regular grantees might want to see and might want to know about. So let's get into it. So most importantly, the deadline. It's going to be 3 p.m. on October 1st. And again, we'll go through, you'll have to be submitted in the portal. Just want to make sure that that is the deadline that everybody knows, 3 p.m. October 1st. And this is the funding opportunity announcement. We're just going to go through it. I'm going to kind of skip around a lot because it's a 35-page document. I cannot get to all of it. So I'm going to go pretty quickly. But really the goal of this is just so you can see these really highlighted changes. But please, I encourage all of our potential grantees, returning grantees, everybody that's interested in this program, please go through and read this funding opportunity announcement for yourself. We spent a lot of time going over it and making sure that it is, I think, clean, to the point, and really should answer a lot of your questions. Also, I should get bonus points for this. I remember to turn on the recording. So just felt like I should put that at the top. This meeting is being recorded. I will send it out afterwards. Just want to make sure everybody knows that this is a recorded meeting. And yes, if you do have any questions or want to review it, you will be able to come back and see this recording after. I promise to send it back out to everybody on this call. So going through here, the first thing I want to call out is the amount of money that we have this year. So for those of you that are familiar with the program, I think you probably can see that 45 million is a big increase from what we had last year. So it's very exciting, a little bit daunting, candidly, but exciting nonetheless. So it's about $45,996,905. And I got to find a place, or I got to find people to give it to. So this can be a really good year for you to apply. There's a lot more money than we've had in years past. And so again, most of this money I want to call out is going to go to energy efficiency. So that's going to be our area of interest one. It's about 38 million. We're going to have a second area of interest for solar that will have about 6 million. Then we're going to have a third area of interest this year just for appliances. That's going to be about 1.6 million. So a lot of money that can go to a lot of great residents in Maryland. And we're really excited that we've been they've given us so much money to kind of give out this year. Next, I want to go into the amount of the awards. So this kind of trips at least 1 or 2 grantees up every year. So I just want to call it out. The minimum award is $105,000 for AOI1. So if there maybe is a multifamily home that you think could be a really great applicant and project for this program, but it's, again, maybe only 85,000 is really all you would need for this multifamily property. We would probably just say, hey, we're not going to grant an award for that. It's just too small. Fortunately, on the other side, though, the maximum award has been determined. So you can really get a pretty big award this year. There really is no max. For AOI2, the minimum award is $30,000 and the maximum award is $1 million. And finally, for AOI3, the minimum grant amount is going to be $32,000 and the maximum award amount has not been determined. Moving on, this is a map. This is, I want to kind of call this out. I think this is pretty self-explanatory, but definitely want to take some time to explain it. So as a part of this program, we want to ensure that, equity is in the name and we want to pursue forms of equity statewide. So depending on where you are or what regions you want to participate in, we have different pools and pockets of funding. The real design of this is we know that there are large population centers that could really use a lot of this money, right? Baltimore City, parts of Prince George's County, Montgomery County, definitely really need a lot of money, and we could probably spend a good chunk of this money and still have, ways to go to really improve the living standards and for a lot of these residents. But we want to make sure that everything is applicable statewide. So as we give out this money, we have put it into 5 different regions. So one being Baltimore City, which will have 5 million. The next being the central region. So that's going to be Baltimore County, Howard, Montgomery. I'm not going to list all the counties you see on the map, but a central region for 14 million. A southern region will get 9 million. An eastern region will be getting about 3 million, and then the western region will be getting 4 million. I want to also note that you can apply for multiple regions, so you can receive multiple AOI1 grants. That happens every year. We have grantees that will apply for multiple regions and get grant awards for multiple regions. So please don't feel locked into one region, but we want to ensure that whatever region you apply for, you spend money in that region. I think the next really important part of this funding opportunity announcement that I want to call out is who can apply for this program. So I think I saw a couple of individuals sign up that I think were just residents or citizens of Maryland. We're so happy you're interested in the program. You are not eligible. The eligible applicants are incorporated towns, cities, and counties in Maryland. What that means is that local governments are eligible to apply. The second group are going to be incorporated nonprofit entities. So if you are here on this call and you are a local government and or a nonprofit entity, you are eligible to apply. So that also prohibits any type of LLCs, so companies may not apply, and again, residents may not apply. But if you are a resident, please, we do have a list of our grantees online, so please check that out when we issue our awards. I know a lot of our grantees would love to work with you and really get some of this funding into your residence. So moving forward, we have eligible activities. I want to call this out. Program funding can be used for energy efficiency and electrification measures in eligible buildings as defined in Attachment C. Attachment C is in this document. I think a lot of times, a lot of grantees kind of want to know, or potential grantees want to know, hey, what's covered? Is this covered? Is this not covered? We'll probably get to it later in the document, but I want to just call this out because I think, okay, what are you exactly covering? I'm not going to really have time to go into every single technology on this call. It's just not going to be feasible with time, but I hope, we have thought it out. There's a very detailed list of what is eligible, what is not. But really, it is just kind of standard weatherization measures, and you can go check out that list further down in this funding opportunity announcement. Moving on, AOI2, AOI3. The next point I want to call out is this program funding covers 100% of the actual cost of installed eligible measures up to the maximum per home. The funding amounts are detailed in Attachment C. As we keep going, there's specific ineligible applicants and activities under this FOA. So this is for AOI2 specifically. So if you are interested in the solar portion of the program, the dwelling unit must be weatherized or scheduled for weatherization within the next 6 months. So we do love solar technology here at MEA, but we recognize that a lot more cost-effective measures are those forms of energy efficiency. And so we want to make sure that the home has been weatherized before we put solar on the property. The next ineligible activity is commercial building scopes. So this means that if you are a commercial building, you are not eligible. We've kind of had some forms of commercial buildings kind of in the past in other programs, but for this program specifically, commercial buildings are not eligible. Just moving along in this application, or excuse me, in this funding opportunity announcement, the grant implementation period. This is another really big point I want to call out. If you are a returning grantee, listen up. Any project funded under this program must complete the project and milestones within approximately 36 months. So, again, a lot of these previous grant years have always had a 2-year grant cycle. This is a 3-year grant cycle. So as you think about applying and the size of your application, please don't bite off more than you can chew, but understand you will have more time to spend down this funding. So if you would like to apply for more or request more, this could be a year to do it, because you won't have to spend it all down in 2 years. You will have up to 3 years to spend it all down, which I think is really important. We do have a bigger pot of fund this year, and we really want to make sure that all of our grantees are taking on maybe even a little bit more if they feel like they want to or can. And as a way to do that, we've extended the grant period up to another year. Moving on, applicant requesting a grant greater than 1 million only. I'm not sure, I don't think this is another FOAS, but I still wanted to call it out anyways. So any applicant that is requesting a grant greater than 1 million must be able to provide the most recent 2 years of audited, reviewed, and compiled financial statements. The reason we do this, look, we love working with a lot of our nonprofits especially, but we understand, nonprofit finances can be tricky and it can be challenging. And we want to make sure that whoever we give a grant out to, that they can service the lifestyle time of the grant or service it and spend all the funds down, right? We'd hate to give out a big sum of funds to a specific nonprofit and not have them spend it all down. Just looks bad on us as a member or a state agency. We want to be good stewards of the funds that the state gives us. And so if we give out a $1 million grant and again the nonprofit just ceases the ability to kind of exist and operate financially because they didn't have the funds on hand, we'd hate to have that happen. So just be aware of that moving forward. As we continue on, keeping moving here, just also kind of calling this out, we do have the ability, again, as we designed this program, to fund partially funded grants. So this is a little bit easier, especially for a program that is working on homes. It is a little bit easier for us to kind of issue grants that might be smaller. So a partially funded grant is less than the amount calculated. But we also have the ability to issue augmented grants. Sometimes we've done that as well. If we want to make sure we get a lot of funds in that region, we might even go back to grantees and say, hey, would you be interested in taking more? That is found in the project workbook, that ability for us to do that. There's a kind of little, there's a questionnaire in the project workbook that addresses that. So please just, be aware of that as we kind of continue moving forward. So continuing moving here, this is another important part of this funding opportunity announcement that I wanted to call out. So this is the qualifying resident income limits chart. Sorry, I just saw a question distracting me. This is the qualifying resident income limits chart here. So this is a lot of times people ask, well, how do we know it qualifies? This is really what I'm going to point individuals to. This is the chart here. So, it's pretty simple, right? If you are going to a residence and it is a family size of 4, their maximum household income must be less than $124,800. We think it's, relatively generous. Again, it's a low to moderate income program. So a lot of residents really will be eligible for this program, but we wanted to call this out. So all grantees, when they go to potential homeowners for this program, will have the homeowners self-verify their income. And this is the chart to know who's eligible, who's not. Eligible buildings, there can be single family or multifamily homes. So dwelling units must be a single family home, but they can also, if they are going to be multifamily, the units must include direct entry directly to the public street or public hallway. Just want to call this out because sometimes there is a question, hey, do you include multifamily? We do include multifamily as a part of this program. And we're just going to keep moving here as we're moving. So AOI 2, this is another part of AOI 2 I wanted to call out. So solar solar photovoltaic systems must have a capacity from 3 kilowatts to 15 kilowatts of direct current. Really what this means and why we're calling this out is there was actually somebody who already reached out ahead of time and asked, hey, could we get a grant essentially for balcony solar? And while we do like the technology, we're kind of excited about it as I think a state agency. Sadly, this program is not really a good fit for balcony solar because this program is really designed for roof-mounted systems or ground-mounted systems to generate a kind of a larger amount of electricity than balcony solar can generate at one time. Continuing moving forward, we want to discuss the two categories for this area of interest too, which is solar. So as a grantee, you can pursue one of two projects for the grants. So you can either pursue a form of direct ownership. This is where I think a lot of our grantees, the direction they go, and which is just, again, having the homeowner own the solar system outright. There's a second category, which is a zero-cost power purchase agreement. What this is essentially an arrangement where the homeowner doesn't buy the solar system, but the third party does. So the third party will own, install, and maintain it over the course of a 20-year period. The homeowner will pay a kind of prepaid price for the electricity, and the excess will essentially be given to would be the nonprofit or local government in this instance, and they will be able to generate the renewable energy credits and will use any of the excess renewable energy credits for maintenance and repair of the system. If that felt complicated, it is a little bit, and I'm not going to deny that. So I would encourage anybody interested in the AOI2 to try to maybe think about direct ownership. But that being said, we do have some grantees that have some really talented people with maybe a little bit of solar background that understand power purchase agreements, understand some of the finances, how to kind of run that as a good program. So if you are interested in the zero cost power purchase agreement, we're not going to discourage you. We put it on the FOA for a reason, but I think sometimes grantees have kind of asked, well, what do you recommend? I would say unless you have background in solar or you have people on your staff with a background in solar that really understand this technology, I would gently push you to AOI1, but please don't feel dissuaded from pursuing AOI2 if you think you can make it work and you think it would be a good option for a lot of the residents you're working with. Just moving forward, just want to touch on AOI3 because it is a new area of interest. So this is for appliances specifically. So appliances must be 20 years old or older and be the appliance that is primary use. The appliances eligible are refrigerators, ovens and stoves, built-in microwaves, dishwashers, washing machines, and clothes dryers, excuse me. And the installed appliances must be Energy Star or equivalent efficiency. But I just wanted to call out, spend a little bit of time on there because I know this is an entirely new AOI, not as big as the others, but we still encourage a lot of our grantees to apply for it. We still think it can do a lot of good for residents. So just continuing forward, I want to just call this out for AOI2. So a lot of times our grantees really are trying to get solar on the solar on the homes of a lot of our residents. And a lot of times the roofs are just a little bit dilapidated and kind of worn down. Want to make sure that everyone sees that up to 7,500 will be used for repairs. So that can really be a limiting factor for a lot of homes. It is the kind of standard that we are going to kind of hold our our grantees to for doing enabling repairs. Also want to call out the fact that solar has the ability, another 1 million in battery storage this year. I don't know if I said that explicitly. It's in the FOA, and it might be one of those things that I just kind of like glossed over as I was moving quickly, but really want to make sure that everyone knows there's another 1 million for battery storage also outlined in this FOA. Moving forward, again, cost effectiveness is the same as it's been in years past, which is simple payback. If you're curious what simple payback is, it is the total project cost of all of the kind of amount that you spent on the project divided by the total energy savings and how long those energy savings kind of takes to get the money back, right? So simple payback years, it's been what we've done in the past. So for AOI1 and AOI3, it is going to be 18 years or less. And for AOI2, cost effective will be defined as a simple payback of 20 years or less. Continuing forward, For the 20 grant administration costs, MEA will allow the grantee to claim up to 15% of the awarded grant amount for grant administration costs and indirect costs combined. I'm, as the kind of new program manager, I can be pretty generous as what can qualify as grant administration costs, but I might be generous about what I allow, but I'm not as generous about taking more than 15%. 15% is going to be the hard cap for grant administration costs, but that can go to payroll, supplies, anything that can qualify really. So just going to keep that in mind as we continue to move forward. We're going to keep going here. And the following energy efficiency measures are eligible for reimbursement under the grant as identified as necessary. I don't need to read this sentence, but the reason I wanted to flag it is right here. If you're taking notes, page 27, this is probably where a lot of your questions are going to start to be answered. Okay, when I talked about earlier that, right, those energy efficiency measures, what is weatherization? What are you funding under AOI 1? It is the biggest pot of funding. This is where it starts on page 27. I can't obviously go through all of it because, as you can see, it's really going to go for a second. It can really get pretty detailed. It's going to give you really all those nitty-gritty answers to all those nitty-gritty questions. Goes on for a ways, but I just wanted to call that out, make sure that you all know where it is in the FOA. So for area of interest 2, another new potential wrinkle for collecting documentation will be that grantees must provide 12 months of electric utility bill history or 1-year summary, including total electric consumption, homes receiving PV system installations prior to invoicing. So what this really is, we're trying to figure out the impact of solar on our grantees' homes moving forward. So we know that it can lower costs, those kind of daily costs, or excuse me, those monthly costs of those energy bills. But we want to get a better idea, see the impact of our work. So this is why we're putting it in there. It's a new thing that we're asking for. As many of our kind of returning grantees for solar know, we do ask for a few documentation, bits of documentation before reimbursement, and we're going to start including this bit as well moving forward. Continue moving forward. Was that it? It was it. Okay, perfect. All right, well, that is the funding opportunity announcement I wanted to go over today. Those are all the really important things I wanted to highlight. As you could see, I mean, we're 25 minutes into this call, and I just kind of gently glossed over so many things. Please go back and read the funding opportunity announcement for yourself. And as always, if you have questions about it, please reach out to me at the residential energy inbox. It's listed on the program webpage, but ask if you have questions. We really want to make sure that everyone knows exactly all their questions answered about the program moving forward before they apply and as they work on the application. So now, as promised, we're going to show the new MEA portal, and I'm going to hand it over to Gus Norbum as he kind of takes us through what it looks like to apply on this portal. It is brand new, and I wanted to make sure that all of you at least got a good look at it as you begin the application process. So, Gus, take it away.
Thanks, Sean. Can you hear me okay? Awesome. Okay. Hi, everybody. Like Sean said, I'm Gus Norbum, the energy specialist working on this program with Sean. I've been having a little bit of computer problems this morning, but I think we are all set right now. So I'm going to be walking through the new portal through which you will be able to apply for this program. So I'm going to just share my screen. All right, can you see this? All right.
Sorry, yes, we can see it.
Awesome. Oh, whoops. Okay, hold on a second. Not sure. Can you? Sorry, Sean. Are you seeing? I'm not seeing the
It looks
Okay.
a little
Okay,
bit,
great.
okay, there it is. It looks
Can
like
you
it
see
was
it now?
frozen for a second. Yeah, I can. And if I still have it pulled up on my screen, so if in a second, if you want to just have me share my screen and walk us through it on my computer, we can do that as well.
Okay, I think this will work. As long as just give me a shout if it's you can't see something. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, well, here we go. All right, so first, I think it'll be easiest if I just show you how to get to the portal. So you can just type in my MEA portal and it pops right up. Um, so this is what it looks like when you get onto the portal. And we're really excited about this. I think it's going to make it easier for applicants to apply and also for us as grant administrators um, to handle the program and to run it from this kind of platform. So, all right. So on this opening page, you can scroll through the programs that we have open at the moment, and also some that are coming soon for our purposes. So to first, you will need to make an account. So you can just click on the login button and then click on this sign up button here. So creating your account. So first you need to select kind of the role that you're in. So for our purposes, I will select organization. You need to put in your organization name. For our purposes, I'll say that I'm Gus Incorporated, and I am a nonprofit. You can select from that list, size, and then you can select the industry. You can select multiple from this list. For now, I'll just select nonprofit. And then you're going to put in your information, your phone number, your EIN number. So I will put in the MEA address. And normally it will auto-populate, but for now it does not like that. So I'll just do it manually. All right, and how did you hear about us? I will say the website, and then you would put in your email and create a password. So I already have an account, so I'm not going to click this button, but that would create your account. And so once you have your account created, you just go to login, input your username and your password. All right. And then, it says, welcome to your MEA portal, Gus. And now once you are logged in, you can again scroll through the programs available and apply. So here is the Residential Energy Equity Program. Click on view more details. And on this page, you can see an overview of some of the things that Sean has already mentioned, but also a lot of other good information. So you can see the application deadline. You can go to the reprogram webpage, and also some other links. So link to the FOA that Sean just went through. And then also just some helpful information about what to expect, who and what is eligible, and some of the application requirements. So definitely encourage everyone to read through this page before they apply. For right now, I want to kind of move on and show you the application itself. So we're going to go ahead and click apply. Sean, just checking, can you still see and hear me okay?
You're doing great. I can still see and hear you.
Okay, great, just checking. Okay, so first, you're going to see this kind of screening page, which just makes sure that you are eligible. So you can't have multiple MEA incentives for the same project scope. So I'll click no there. All right, I have the same applicant name and mailing address, contact information. So this is for specifically AOI2. If you have the contractor information, you don't necessarily need it at the time of applying. So I'll say no. And I have all the supporting documentation, yes. All right, and once you see that this green text, you know you're good to go. If you were to answer no to some of these questions, like if I don't have the supporting documentation, it won't let you proceed. So we'll go ahead and click next. And now we can start with the application. So how'd you hear about it? I'll just say the website. And we have a handy tool here, or a handy button that will help auto-populate some of the application. So if I want to use my account information that I've already input, if I click here, it'll auto-populate that information. So if I'm the primary contact, the information in my account will automatically go here and save some time. So that's nice. You can also just input it manually. All right, go to the next. So now one secondary contact information. Sean, that's going to be you. Just bear with me as I put this in. And I'll just make it under for you. And so also, so you have to put in your authorized signatory, and this is someone who has the authority within your organization to sign off on legal documents. You can also use my account information if you are the one applying and you're also the signatory authority. You can just click this button and it'll auto-populate. So for right now, I will say that I'm the signatory authority. And you just go ahead and put that in and then move on to the next page. Now it's looking for your organization information. So again, you can hit this button up top, which will input the information that you've already, some of the information that you've already input earlier. So some of this I think is auto-populating from my account. This you might have to put in manually, just the organization email and phone, your website, and your department, if applicable. And then we can move on to the next. All right, so now this is an important screen. So one thing we really want to highlight here is we want to make sure that the legal name of the recipient that you're putting in matches your W-9, because if it doesn't, it creates problems with our finance department. I just want to really make sure that the name you put in matches the name you have on your W-9. And so you're putting your mailing address. Again, if you input this in your account and it's the same, you can just use your account information, right? So this is the MEA mailing address. You just go ahead and move to the next. All right, so here we get to a little more of the meat of the application. So here we're going to look through, these are the possible options that you can apply for. These are we have the AOI 1 regions, AOI 2, which is solar, and AOI 3, which is appliances. So for our purposes, I will just input some information here. I'm going to request 200,000 in Baltimore City. Let's say I'll request some in Eastern County or Eastern region. And I'll also apply for solar. And here we're just putting in the requested dollar amount. And there'll be a chance for a lot more information later in the process. Let's see. Okay, so just putting in some information there. So now moving on to just a brief summary. So you need to put in a title. This can be sort of whatever you'd like, whatever makes sense to you. So I'll just say EE Solar Appliances project, but obviously you can name it whatever you please. And then here we're just looking for a few sentences, a brief summary of the project purpose, and a brief summary of the project impact. This can just be a few sentences. There will be a chance in the program workbook to put a lot more information in, so don't necessarily need to stress out on this section, and you can just be brief here. So for our purposes, I'll just say good stuff. And impact lower GHG emissions and lower energy use. And then we're going to put in the project start date. And so here you can just put in, we'll say 2027. Let's say we're starting on the 5th. And then put in the projected project end date, which we'll say 3 years later. Let's say the 8th. And then you can just click off the project locations that you expect to serve. So let's see, I said Baltimore City. I also said Eastern. So we can just click off some of these boxes here. And then also asking for your leveraged funds amount. So this is leveraged funding. I'll just say for our purposes, whoops, it doesn't. All right, and then we can move on to the next page. All right, so this is the page where you're going to be uploading your documents. And you can see there is a list of these before you apply on the portal page. You can see what documentation is going to be required. For our purposes, I'm going to upload some fake documents just to show you how this would work. So first, your W-9. And you just want to make sure, again, that this matches the information that you've already put in, because if it doesn't, it becomes a bit of a headache where our finance department does not accept it. So just want to be careful of that. W-9, and then self-verification of minimum eligibility. This is a document that you can find on the MEA website, and this is just your signatory authority basically signing off that you are eligible. So just upload that there. Moving down, you'll need to upload your program application workbook. This is something that we're going to touch on a little bit later. But this is where you'll be able to put in a lot more of your specific project information, a lot more details, a lot more data. So we're just going to upload that. All right, moving on. So your letter of good standing. You can also find that. You can find it on the Maryland Business Express website. This is also kind of some standard documentation that we'll require. All right, so moving on. So energy savings. So this is for AOI 1. If you're applying for AOI 1, you will need to upload your predicted energy savings. Oops, okay. And then also, so if you're applying for solar, you need to upload your solar proposal, just kind of detailing what you're planning. You can find more information about this in the FOA. And then lastly, for AOI 3, energy savings projections. Oops. I'm just going to upload the same file just for our purposes right now. Okay, and so those are going to be all the required documents to continue, but you can see there are also a lot of options. You can upload letters of support, documentation for your leveraged funds, IRS determination letter, and any other documents that you think would be useful. So you have those options. But for right now, we're going to just move ahead. Okay, so we're getting to the end here. So here, just need to say, is there any confidential information? I'll say no. And this, moving on to the signature part. So just need to make sure that your information. Save that. This will just be for your digital signature. Confirm. Then it has the date. Just gonna move ahead to the next page. And then they just have the review page. So this is going to be a chance to review all the information that you've put in. Just double check that all the information is correct. And then that is it. You would just click submit after that, which I will not be doing for this purpose. But that is the entire process on the portal side. And I will hand it back to Sean. Hopefully that kind of gave you some insight into what it will look like.
All right, sweet. Thank you, Gus. So we're coming up on about like 45 minutes into this call, and there was kind of one last portion I felt we should go over, but I'm not going to take too much time. I've been in webinars, I've hosted them, and I've attended them, and I know the spirit is willing, but the flesh gets weak right around the 45-minute mark. So what I'm going to do now is I want to show you the project workbook. I haven't spent a ton of time, or I didn't intend to spend a ton of time on this particular call going over the project workbook, mainly for the reason, the fact that it just, again, is very similar to years past. I don't know if we've really made any tangible differences. And as a result, it just felt like something I didn't really feel the need to really spend too much time on. And I don't know, for some reason, it's not allowing me to share this screen. It's not coming up. Odd, but interesting. But there is a project workbook. Gus, do you want to just download the project workbook real quick?
Yeah.
See if we can pull that up, and I'll just kind of walk through on your screen. Sorry about that, everybody. I don't know why it's not letting me share the project workbook. But to our returning grantees, again, the project workbook has not really changed all that much. It's really going to be a lot of the similar questions. Ideally, the project workbook would have been something that would have been in the portal, but we can't get everything we want. And so hopefully in years to come, we'll get the entire project workbook actually in the portal. So you won't have to do this kind of weird thing where you kind of do half of the application in the portal, half of it in this project workbook, but it's going to get into a lot more detail, a lot of things. So I think there were a couple of questions in this chat about, or even if you were just wondering, hey, how much information can I put in this application? Just want to let you know the project workbook still exists. So for your returning grantees, if you do have a lot more to say, you are not going to be limited to those two little boxes in the application portal. I don't know, I lost my train of thought there, but you won't be kind of handicapped by that. And there's going to be a lot more information about, energy efficiency, a lot more questions about energy efficiency, savings, all of that. So if you're a returning grantee, good news is there's really not going to be a lot of changes. If you are a new grantee, just know that it is a bit of a beast. It's kind of challenging. I think you'll probably look at it and go, there's a lot of information, a lot of questions, probably more aggressive questions than what we've kind of gone over, and probably going to prompt a lot more questions from you all as grantees. Please reach out. I don't want anyone feeling that they're just kind of drifting or twisting in the wind. That's not the goal. We'd love to help you kind of get through the project application workbook as well. We have, I've seen Evan, one of our technical contractors, really doing a lot of heavy lifting in the chat for me today, just answering a lot of your questions. He's obviously been very helpful in the chat, and I know we can hop on a call with you and really work through the application workbook, answering any questions. Oh, thank you so much, Gus. You're a lifesaver. So this is the project, or the project workbook, just like years past, the ability to kind of go through and just answer all those questions about the project. So as you can see, if you couldn't really figure it out, the AOI1, this kind of application info tab for you returning grantees, that's the portal now, right? So you are putting in a lot of that information directly into the portal. We can go, if you want to go to AOI1 for the central region, Gus. So you can kind of see here, it's very similar to years past, the funding request. You're going to pick the counties in the central region you want to work with, why you're kind of selecting them, providing the detailed summary of the projects below, If you just kind of scroll down, Gus, thank you so much. It's going to be very similar, right? Just telling us what projects, why you're pursuing it. Going to give a lot more detail and color to your application, figuring out what you want to do, the status of the energy audits. Yeah, keep going. Thank you. Your timeline for how long you think it's going to take to complete this project, right? When you want to get started, how long you think it's going to take you to kind of do some work on some of these homes, the demographic tools, right? So where some of these buildings are, number of buildings you think you can get done with this amount of money. What is your process for finding buildings and homes, the screening and procurement? Yeah, keep going, Gus. Thank you. So obviously we give you a lot of room to talk and type, so definitely provide as much information as you feel that you need to. Questions about, your contractors, are you hiring them? Do you have in-house contractors? Those are really important. The eligibility verification process, again, that's something, I think there were a couple questions I answered in the chat, and I didn't want to get too much information because I know we talk about it here, but what is your process for, finding homes that are eligible, and how are you going about verifying that? The ability to scale up or down. This was what I talked about earlier in the FOA, and keep going. Yep. There's, again, just leveraged funds. So if you do have some projects, or if you have leveraged fundings that you're bringing in for some of your work, again, let us know here. How much do you have? That's also all very important information. Cost effectiveness calculations, if it's in gray, again, don't touch it. We have formulas, don't worry. But this is, again, those electricity cost savings, the natural gas cost savings, all of that. And yeah, keep going. I'm moving quickly because I know I got like 10 minutes left, and I want to make sure I really kind of get through this. Yeah, and if you want to get to the end, just keep scrolling. Yeah, and I think that's just about the end here. So that's for area of interest 1, because if you want to scroll down, show them solar. Yeah, the solar, so this is going to be for the solar and the battery. So the application here, right, again, solar is statewide. So, what counties do you want to work for solar? The solar tab is going to be a little bit more abbreviated, just like in years past, because it's a little less in terms of what we're looking for the narrative. But please, you can, again, apply here. You can apply for AOI 1, AOI 2, and AOI 3. So feel free. You can fill out as many of these tabs as you feel like you want to apply for. Just going through, very similar, the household homes, the detailed descriptions, the implementation timeline. Again, and making sure that how are you going about proving that they're weatherized, telling us a little bit about this. Again, teaming companies and contractors. This is a big one. We already kind of even asked it in the AOI 1, not the AOI 1. We already asked it in the portal. So again, more of this information about the portal, or more information about your contractors that you kind of talked about a little bit maybe in the portal. Screening and procurement. Again, do you have in-house? Are you going to hire a contractor? Talk to us about that process. Again, eligibility verification, the scalability of the project, right? All of this is all going to be really important. Again, leveraged funds. Do you have them for AOI 2? That's important. Cost effectiveness is a little bit simpler because they're solar panels. I'm sorry, I literally sprinted through this mainly because we did a run through yesterday and we felt like we were just running out of time. So I maybe should have spent a little bit more time on the project workbook, but I do want to make sure that everyone knows we are available. I think, again, with the project workbook, though, as I've reiterated and I said a couple times in this call, for the returning grantees, I'm not really, in AOI 3, I think it's nearly identical to AOI 2, so I don't feel the need to go through it, but you can kind of see Gus is showing you very quickly. It's the same for AOI 2. But yeah, for the returning grantees, most importantly, it's very similar to years past. If you're a new grantee, I want to make sure you have all the support you need. We are more than welcome, or more than happy, to hop on a call with you, make sure you understand the workbook. Ideally, we would have put the entire workbook in the application this year, just didn't get that ability yet. So I think we're really winding down on this call. I want to thank everybody again for just taking this time out of their day to learn more about this residential energy equity program. I don't know if there's any other questions in the chat. I think Evan, again, has done a great job at answering most of them. If anybody wants to put a question or two at the end in the chat, I can answer some basic questions. I'm not going to necessarily be able to get to everything. But I think at this point, we'll kind of close it out and just again say thank you to so many of our grantees for showing up today. Thank you again for so many potential grantees showing up today. We'd love to have more grantees as part of this program, just because, again, we're trying to reach different and new communities all the time. We know there's a lot of communities in Maryland that really we just haven't been able to get funds into yet. And that's, again, where some of our nonprofit and local governments come in. You have those existing relationships, and you can really help us get a lot of this funding into areas that just we haven't been able to get funding into yet. So again, so happy that everyone's come here today. We'll kind of let you all go if you want to stay on the line and maybe put a couple questions in the chat. Again, if they're basic questions, we might be able to answer them. But I want to say thank you again to everybody for showing up today. You've all been wonderful. Thank you to Gus. Thank you to Evan and our Newport team for helping in the chat. And yeah, we'll stay around, but I'll let everybody hop off this call. Thank you again, everybody. You've been wonderful. All right. Thank you again, Gus, by the way, for pulling that up. I don't know why it wouldn't display the it would not let me display the Excel sheet. It did it yesterday, but it was crazy.
Yeah.
So that was strange. All right, let's see.
There's one note in the chat about including the FOA and the workbook.
Yeah, I think Evan got that. I just pulled up the chat now. I realized I was like, ask questions in the chat, and then like I didn't pull it up. Let me see.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for the Excel, when I pulled it up, also I kind of had to. It was only showing me like Google tabs that I could share, and not other tabs. So I had to just like, I just shared I don't know. I did it in a weird way, but I think it worked okay.
Let's see if there's any others. All right. Well, there's about 20 people on the call. We got about 3 minutes left. I think I kind of answered a couple of the questions I felt comfortable answering. So I think I'm gonna bring this call to a close and say to anybody on this call, thank you again for showing up, and please have a good rest of your day. Thanks, everybody.